Hi everybody and welcome back to B2B NAV. This week we've got the usual suspects of Jon and Oli with us, but we've got a very special guest in the form of Mr. Leon Mills of Adam Recruitment. Welcome, Leon.
Thanks for having me.
First time on camera for you on a podcast, I believe. I've heard of you.
Yes, it is.
Yeah?
It is. So if I do any stuttering, just bear with me.
Well, you're an expert. You're an expert in your own podcast.
Well, thank you. That's very kind of you to say.
We'll come on to that one later. But firstly, thanks for agreeing to come on, and thanks for agreeing to chat all things kind of talent acquisition and recruitment with us, I guess, in the modern workplace. To give a little bit of context to any listeners or any viewers out there of why we wanted Leon on this podcast, we work with Leon here at BDB in terms of our own talent acquisition and recruitment. But it really came home to me at an E3 conference that myself and you were at in Arnhem late last year, where there was 30 different international agencies attending. And we were asked to kind of talk openly, I guess, and transparently about the main problems we're facing as a B2B marketing agency or a consultancy or wherever people are putting themselves on that scale for the meantime. But every single agency in the room, talent acquisition, recruitment, whatever you want to phrase it, seem to be struggling with that, and not only evolving their agency structure and attracting and retaining talent, but also their employer proposition, their brand. And I thought it'd be good from the other side of the fence, because I guess you see a lot of candidates and you also know a lot of agencies to kind of get your take on that. Do you want to give us a bit about Adam before we get into it in terms of who you are, how long you've been trading, where you're up to as a business?
Just to preface that, it's not just you guys that are struggling to find talent.
Sure.
I think talent, the problem of finding talent is absolutely rife here, there, and everywhere.
Sure.
So I'm going to be advising, but at the same breath, I'm going to be sitting here as a struggler as well.
Counselling session as well.
That's all of us counselling, share our headaches together.
We don't need to feel victimised.
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, who am I? Who are we? So as you said, I'm one of the joint founders of Adam, and we launched our business. How many grey hairs have we got? About 14, 15 years ago.
Yep.
My business partner Richard and I, we did work for a large corporate. Mm-hmm. But we always had a yearning to do something off our own bat, but also our focus was all about partnerships, relationships, people, as opposed to when we're working for this large corporate, firing out CVs, sending an invoice, and then moving on to the next thing. So, we launched, as I say, 14 years ago with a view to helping not just agencies, but businesses find excellent talent in marketing, digital, tech, and also HR.
Okay. And that's both in-house and agency.
Yeah, in-house and agency. Cool. And we've got an office both. Our HQ's in Manchester. We just bought an office in the Northern Quarter, and we've also got a presence in London, so we can basically service both our nexus of clients across both cities.
Great, okay. And I guess in terms of why is it so prevalent at the minute, you think? Why do you think so many people are struggling with the acquisition of talent? Because we are. In the sense of we're looking to onboard people quick and fast.
I've got a theory on this, but it might have run out now.
Okay.
So I think a lot of it has got to do with 2008.
Okay.
So when there was the crash, and you'll have experienced this, everyone the walls went up, the barricades were put up, and everyone was just trying to survive.
Yep.
And I remember there being redundancies left, right, and centre, no investment in staff, no investment in training.
Yeah.
And it was really noticeable. So that's 12 years ago now.
Yeah.
And I would say,
when you joined us 4 or 5 years ago, there was a real pinch point on the talent acquisition around a certain level.
It's about then. So it's about SA. It was about AM and really talented, high-flying SAMs.
Yes.
And it's still true today, but you couldn't find them for love nor money.
Yeah.
And from what I can sort of work out in my own head, that's down to the fact that at that point in 2008, probably through to 2012 maybe, there was a good 3 to 4 year period where it was really low end recruitment, minimal, everyone was running as lean as they possibly could.
Sure.
So there's nothing in the gene pool.
Yeah.
And you're expecting those people to come up to be backfilled, and they're just hanging on to them, and will probably no doubt come on to over remuneration and hanging on to people and overpayment. But I think people were just paying through the nose just to keep hold of this one little gem they'd had. And that just left it bereft, So when I joined 4 or 5 years ago, it was that you look around, where are they? And you can see them, but there's no one in the actual marketplace. And I imagine that you've probably seen that, and it's a real pain for you to kind of...
just trying to cast my mind back, 12 years ago now. Bloody hell, it seems like yesterday. You're totally right. There was a complete lack of investment out there to develop people. And is it still a problem? It might well be. Is it still as rife as it was 12 years ago? I don't think it is, but
I think the residual knock on is, people get more cautious. I mean, we spend.
I think that's fed a lot of the problems. That's what I thought. I think a lot of the things we'll come on to in terms of remuneration, salary expectations, desires and requirements of hires.
People get overly comfortable, don't they, and overly sort of assured of their own net worth.
But if it is such a big problem in it across all, let's focus on agencies for the meantime, because it's easier for us to do that, knowing what we know, and sort of a decent chunk of, I guess, the work that you do. How do you describe the current level of confidence, I guess, in the marketplace at the minute? Are you seeing lots of opportunities, growth, or contraction, or what are you seeing from your side of the fence?
Yeah, I think obviously the business is good at the moment. We're talking to a lot of business owners across London, Manchester, who have an appetite to grow. I think look at the political situation that hasn't hampered the appetite and the thirst for people to get out there.
Sure. I think we've seen that.
There's bags of business out there.
Well, Brexit seems to be it's a bit like the Millennium Bug at the minute, but there's a lot of talk about it, but the impact doesn't seem to be anywhere.
We were chatting with a client who's based overseas over lunch, and they were asking, how are you feeling? We've just had the Spanish Inquisition getting in through Manchester Airport Customs. How's it working for you as a business? Nothing. There's nothing yet, and whether it comes to pass, who knows?
I think the best businesses or the best agencies that we're working with, who've got a really clear vision on where they are now, but where they want to be. They're working with the right clients. They've got the right team in the business. They've got a high level of engagement, and they're the ones that are really going hard and fast.
And do you think that kind of that growth thing is that coming about as part of a growth strategy, so they're kind of building the team ready for what they hope is going to land, or is it retrospectively, we've just landed the whale, we need a bigger boat?
Well, I think that's the ideal scenario, isn't it? Higher before the curve. I think all errors that are made within
that's what the business books tell you, isn't it?
Exactly.
But it takes a brave man to do it sometimes.
But the most errors that I see and continue to see is when people win a piece of business. I need X, Y, and Z.
Win it and worry about it.
Win it and worry about it.
I guess that becomes harder, doesn't it? Because you've got to then find a very specific beast to fit a role that they've kind of now found themselves in need of, rather than finding someone who's right for the agency, and then you build them to the client.
And it's the whole ethos of hire slowly and fire fast, isn't it? But when bums need to be put on seats, that's when corners are cut, and that's when errors are made, and that's when all the knock-on effects of making that wrong hire materialise. So,
and do you think in terms of, because Oli, you've done a lot of hiring for us into your team recently, it's been growing, so we've brought sort of 4 or 5 individuals into kind of the digital and tech side of it.
It was the last 4 years, so
There's a couple of them with Adam's assistants here. But in the sense of, how have you found the availability of talent in the marketplace? And I'd be interested to get Leon's take on that as well. But
it's certainly not what you'd hope for. So my background being kind of digital marketing, and I guess relatively more recently, kind of the tech and martech side of things. You kind of hear about these being huge areas, but there don't seem to be many people to service that, or at least from what I've seen. You kind of expect to put a CV out, a job spec out, and expect to be overwhelmed with CVs, and it's just not what we've really seen.
Sure.
I think I kind of feel like there might be a problem with the way we're setting people up for these jobs in terms of education in the first place. I think it's changing now with apprenticeships that are helping to gear people up, and we've had a couple of apprentices on board going down that route, so they're starting from a young age getting trained in it. But in general, I don't think our education system's been set up in the past to help with kind of digital, for example. So I think you get a lot of people that are self-taught, and that may or may not be good. Obviously, it depends on how determined they were and what quality material they found. I think when we've seen candidates coming through, we've not seen a lot of CVs, certainly not as many as we'd expect.
There's a lot of talk about this swell of talent in the Northwest, particularly in the UK, where there's so many digital natives and people in this digital and technological based world, but
there's a lot of people.
There's a lot of people with a lot of different
and then salary
titles,
expectations are kind of very wildly. You can have CV through and you think that's somebody that could maybe do it, but they don't really feel right, and the salary expectations are way higher than other people that you think are dead right for the job and have loads of relevant experience.
And are you seeing that at the minute, Leon, in terms of, I guess, I phrased it here when I was doing the planning for the podcast in terms of that talent scarcity, and that might be going a bit to the too extreme with it, but Is there a link between the availability of talent, obviously, where people are putting the price points on salary expectations?
Just to pick up on that first, but I think there's two problems. I think there's more opportunity than there are people out there.
Yeah.
And I think business owners and senior leaders in businesses have wisened up to the fact that once you get an absolute superstar, we need to do everything that in our powers to keep them engaged, keep them motivated, and keep them focused for as long as possible. So we're all having to sharpen our pencils with making sure they've got a 12. Every individual within our business has a 12-month development plan.
Yeah.
So they know exactly where they're going to get to.
Yeah.
And with all those tick boxes, they know exactly what the remuneration is going to look like.
Yeah.
And they want to do stuff that's meaningful, that's purposeful, that's exciting. When those boxes aren't ticked, that's when they'll have their head turned.
Yeah. I know Matt and I both read a book that's really relevant to that for anybody listening, which is called The Alliance, which is written by Reid Hoffman and a couple of other people. So Reid Hoffman being one of the founders of LinkedIn, but it's all about having, they've referred to it as tours of duty. It's American. So it's all about having kind of 1 to 5 year kind of tours of duty for people that this is what you're trying to achieve. We know you're not going to stay here together forever, because that recruitment or that employment model has changed these days. You don't join a company for 50 years.
Yeah.
So it's how can we help develop you in that time, and how can you really help us do something specific in that time? And then towards the end of that, if that's gone well, let's work out what we do next together. And if it's time for you to move on, it's time for you to move on. But let's keep that relationship.
I think that's what we've tried to mirror here. Trying to and evolve into it, giving people more cycles of experience, as opposed to you sit in that bucket there. You are a copywriter. You will copyright for the next 20 years of your life. It's more of we're trying to keep it fluid as much as we can here.
I think
to play to people's
in your own
strengths
shoes as well. And so LinkedIn have obviously got very, comfortable in their expectation there and their kind of understanding of the reality of the working world, that things do change, and you can't expect. It's not like people are dockers anymore. It's a job for life.
Well, it's a very much a Silicon Valley tactic as well, where you've got a vast requirement for developers across all the different organizations that are based there, and huge salaries on offer, and people move around a lot. So it's trying to retain that
as long as you possibly can.
Make the most out of it.
But equally, what you don't want to then do is go the other way, isn't it? This moment someone sticks a hand up, and that's why I really respect their approach. Is you don't go, oh no, you've had the conversation, they've put the envelope in. You don't instinctively go, okay, how much does it take to keep you there? Because that then knocks on to...
Let's come on to that.
You touched on cycles of experience. We've started doing some breakfast events in London.
Yes.
And our first breakfast event, Adam hosts, we've called it, was about culture. We got 10 agency owners sitting around the table, and we're talking about engagement, retention, all that kind of stuff. And I guess it's all about understanding what everyone's next 2, 3, 4 years looks like. And one of the owners around the table said, a couple of people that recently joined their business said, I just want to come and work for you for 2 years, and then I want to go and sort of launch my own business. And he was like, that's cool. So I know I've got 2 years. I can develop you. I can get as much out of you as possible. And after that 2 years, shake hands and we'll move on. And that's the kind of authenticity and honesty we want from people. You're not going to get that with
we've
a
got that in our own business here.
That's correct.
We've had guys who turned up in an interview and said, right, what do you want? What's your long-term aspirations? What do you want to do? I want to run my own business. Which, when I first heard it, took me back, actually, because I was like, well, hang on a minute.
Because your initial thought is, we're going to have to hire you, we're going to have to pay a recruitment fee, and you're going to leave.
And we're going to give you all the...
and we're going to upskill you.
Exactly.
We're going to upskill you to one day probably be in competition with us. And I think it took me a while to get my head around it, and now I'm actually going, fair play to them. If that's what your aspiration is, one, it's not it's very easy to say it, and it's a different thing to run your own business. But also, if they can do it, best of luck to an extent.
They've got a real goal, which I'd expect means that they put more work in and more focus.
And if they've got a time frame where they want to achieve it by,
so you can put them on a roadmap, can't you? But back to the culture thing, because I think that's really interesting. And we've done loads and loads to try and kind of change, reinvigorate, create a culture which makes people want to stay. Do you think there's I think this might be the case, that as you look, you've got to kind of almost create, I don't want to say subcultures, but packages, shall we say, and benefits that kind of reflect people's life stage, and you kind of
very much so
put something down that, for the new to the industry to kind of 4 year, then you've got your 4 to 8.
How are you seeing that with the candidates now in terms of remuneration beyond base salary, I guess? Because back in the day, it was just a base salary, wasn't it?
Base salary and bonus, and what did I have to do to get
I remember at PwC in 2004 or 5, they introduced PwC Choices, And it was the first time I'd ever come across an online portal where you could go on and pick a few extras, and it cost you money generally because it was done differently back then with the tax reasons and everything. But it was the first time you could go on an elective flow. I'd like a car, or I'd like a phone, or I'd like a dentist cover, or whatever it may be. And that just seems to be like a given these days. Because even when people say, you know, we say it, we've got a BDB choices package. You can go on and select your own benefits. It's almost table stakes. Do you not think these days?
You say that, and then people do literally, and I've had plenty of conversations where I'll go through the base benefits, and you can literally see the cogs turning, going, really? I can't believe you get that. Or, you know, what I think our headline one and the one that's like the showpiece one is the unlimited holidays.
Yeah.
And people just get caught completely off guard by that. But then even stuff like the, you know, salary sacrifice for a vehicle for anyone in the business, as long as the salary supports it, great pension, it's like Matt says.
Yeah, but is it a nice to have, or is it?
I think you guys are ahead of the curve from what I know regarding agencies, and that's not just blowing smoke at your backside. I think you're really trying to be forward thinking, and the whole you know, your flexible working. You know, people want to feel as though they're trusted in a culture. Yeah, they want a culture that's forward thinking. Yeah, they want a culture where it's got a great bar like this.
Yeah.
But in addition to the beanbags and the snooker table and all that kind of stuff, they want to feel like they're working for a business that's got a great vision, really strong set of values, and they want to feel like, as I say, they're empowered to do the job that they do. They want to be treated like adults, and know that they're entrusted to do what they do. What else am I seeing? I'm seeing the whole 4-day week, the advent of the 4-day week. I love that idea. I love ballsy business owners.
Do you think people do that already that you're working with? Or?
Yeah, loads of people are doing it.
Just for clarity of people listening, because it's one for myself as well, are they spreading 4 days over 5, or are they doing 4 days?
Yes, they're doing. So
do you know what I mean?
The businesses that I'm working with are doing Monday to Thursday.
Literally closing on Friday.
And closing on a Friday.
Wow.
And some people will work on a Friday depending on the client commitments, or some people
so
will
it's
have...
kind of elective.
So is that 9.5 hours of work on Monday to Thursday, so they're making up the time, or is it just the same time but working?
I think it's just getting the job done.
Okay.
Wow.
So it's an idea to give people more time to.
Yeah.
You know,
I get the sentiment. I totally get the sentiment of it. It's more of a fact, like for us, you know, we've got 52 clients who are mostly international. They'll be doing 5-day weeks. Yeah. It's one of the ones at the minute I'm still trying to get my head around, because I'm not yet. I like the idea, I like giving back, but it's more of a wow.
Okay. Our cut of that would be unlimited holidays, isn't it? So there's a flexibility. You know, we have flexible working from home. You know, that's when you feel you can. Please do. You know, put yourself in an environment where you're going to be more productive. So I don't know. It's kind of
you're either doing 20% less work, or you're just fitting the same work into
20% more in those days.
That could be a whole different podcast. That's part of that one. I'm conscious of time because I've got a lot of different things I want to try and cover with you today. So I'm not even going to stop watching the clock and just crack on. But in the sense of, it's really easy to jump on the bandwagon, I guess, just switching it slightly here into the impact of kind of Gen Z and millennials and the younger generations. I think one of the things we're seeing here is kind of managing that multi-generational workforce. Is a different way of looking at it, that we've got people in their,
should we say,
late 40s, I'm going to shoot for.
Yeah,
hopefully that's not our generation.
Hopefully that's not insulted anybody internally.
We're looking all right for our age.
That's it. All the way from apprentices all the way through to that, I guess. And there isn't this one-size-fits-all model, and that's why we've introduced the different things we've got. However, you can't argue against Gen Zs and millennials are changing the way you recruit, changing the way businesses are set up, changing the way you train, develop, cycle of experience, whatever it may be. What's your take on that in terms of the younger generation's impact and their expectations? And you know, you touched on earlier in the sense of, you know, they want to be trusted. Do you think that are they willing to invest the time to be trusted, or are they?
Is it an expectation? I hate to say it because I'll get slated for this by someone. You know, there's that perception of expectation, isn't there? And
I thought you were going to use the word entitlement then, but I'm glad you didn't.
I tried not to.
None of us said it.
None of us said that. I couldn't possibly comment if you did. But do you think there is that sort of thing, and where's the balance in that? Because I see it with some of the kind of the younger people that come through and we interview. There is almost that sense of expectation around certain things with no proof or backup to it.
I think it's just a different mindset. These people coming through now see the working world differently to what we do when we were in our 20s and 30s. All we wanted to do was work hard, get ourselves up to as high as you could within that business, get a mortgage, settle down, and then you pay off your mortgage. for this generation, and I, as opposed to calling them millennials, I call them like the future leaders. Because in essence, that's what these people are.
Absolutely.
So I'm trying to give
some kind of PR training.
No, I haven't. Genuinely, I came up with that. I probably need to trademark. But that's what these people are. They are going to, when we are getting greyer than we are, these people are going to be taking over our jobs, and we need to trust them, and we need to make sure they're motivated. So make sure they're doing something meaningful. Make sure we're stretching them, and they feel empowered to do the job they do.
The mortgage thing is quite interesting, actually, when you mention it, because you think actually the future leaders, as you will, millennials, Gen Z, it's getting tougher and tougher and tougher and tougher and tougher to actually get yourself on the housing ladder. So is that actually coming out of the equation? Maybe there was this kind of historic approach of, right, my path is set, I need to get a job, I need to graft to get to the point where I'm earning enough to get a mortgage. Probably didn't in those days need as big a deposit. And then you can kind of run that life. Whereas now they're looking at it going...
But my overall take on it is still that it's linked to the social media aspects of the world, probably. And without going into again, you could do a completely different podcast on this, that people want things quicker because they see it online or on their social profile or on their social library of the people that they follow.
I don't even think that's a generational thing, though. We're just, with the access to technology we have now, we all want stuff quicker.
We're all Amazon Prime addicts.
And we can get exactly. I
get
something every day from Amazon.
But I think that's where the
when you see it's tomorrow that it's delivered, you're annoyed.
But I think that's where the reticence or the annoyance comes from an employer when you see a CV with a year's experience with a kid. I'm going to say that because it would have annoyed me at the time, so hopefully somebody's annoyed by that listening. But a kid at the time who turns up with a year's experience, he's got salary expectations, I want 28k or something, and you go like, well, we were paying you 18 equivalently or whatever it was a couple of years ago. And they turn up at the interview and go, what are you going to do for me? We've had it on several occasions where that's almost the stance that's been taken on interview of, well, I know you're asking me questions here, but what are you doing for me? And by the way, I want 28k. And I'll think about it at that level. And you sit there going, ooh, okay, this is different. But we're seeing more of that. So I can understand where the frustration comes from an employer perspective when you talk about loyalty. And I think all that's out the window now. You've got to give them the experience and get the buy-in from them. But I think we do a good job here with our team.
That's on the onus of the employer, isn't it, to create that environment that people want.
But I don't think people do themselves many favours at interviews sometimes when you sit there and you think, wow, you are everything people say you are.
Exactly. Just one other point, and I've just remembered on the whole package, and there was I went to a gig down in London a few weeks ago, and there was a graduate survey about what's one of the key things that graduates look for in a business, and it's the mental health and mental well-being policy that each business has. So that was really interesting. That's one of their most important things that they'll want to know about.
I know you've been looking at that, embracing that, Adam, and we've had to do the same here. So we've got mental health officers and policies and procedures, but it's a new area for me. It's something I've had to do a lot of reading on and a lot of research.
We're all learning, aren't we? So that just made me really think, wow, that's what is really important to them. So
didn't you kind of think, well, where does salary sit in that?
We surveyed our team though, didn't we? Going back
about a year
or two ago. Yeah. Because rather than second guessing them, I said, like, well, ask them. So we just survey monkeyed the entire team, interestingly, because I did it, gave them 10 options of things that could be important in your working life. I've got to say, one of which mental health policies wasn't one of them. So it's been candid.
I think that's something that's become even more
prevalent since.
Just
we asked the team to rank them. It was all anonymous, and they all ranked them 1 to 10. Base salary, holiday. Base salary was still number one for everybody. Sorry, not everybody. The majority, or certainly in the top 3 for most people. But I, listening to the Gen Z podcast that we do, and the guys I'm pointing at Sam over there, but listening to your podcast the other day, in the sense of it's just an expectation that you have a market-leading salary. It's not a thing. I don't think it is. They expect that these days. Okay.
Doesn't stop it being number one, though, does it?
Kind of linked into that in terms of attracting and retaining talent. Then how important do you think an employer brand is these days? And by employer brand, I guess I mean a presence, a profile, an awareness, things that people can go online, kick the tires off.
The most important.
Yeah.
It's that virtual shop window, isn't it?
Yeah.
And if you look at what the next generation, all the different suite of social media applications that people can use, every business needs to be absolutely penetrating every different aspect.
Okay. And you're seeing candidates do that in the sense of checking out Instagram, YouTube, whatever.
That's
we do it. Candidates the other way, don't we?
It brings it all to life, doesn't it?
Yeah.
We're probably going to answer it, but the recruitment marketplace has changed. No one responds to adverts anymore.
Yep.
They don't need to. It's all about, we've got to go outwards to them and start evangelizing about who we are and what we do and how great a place it is, and this is look at all the cool work that we do to really make them pique their interest, essentially.
All right, so I guess coming on to the next piece in terms of linking into what you've just been saying there, Lauren, in relation to the apathy towards recruiters, it does exist in the marketplace. I think it's improved in recent years.
Yeah.
But it's still one of those line items you do see in your P&L when you've got that recruitment spend, and also comes into business planning when you know how much you want to spend on recruitment this year, and it's always a difficult one to predict and kind of forecast. But I guess, how have you had to adapt your own business model to attract and retain talent to you, and also, I guess, continue to deliver that market-leading service that you want to for your agencies and businesses that you work with?
Yeah, good question. Well, like yourselves, I know, as ridiculous as it will sound, we have to engage in recruitment to recruitment businesses.
Rec to rec,
yeah, rec to recs they're called. Purely and simply because we don't spend our time 24/7 looking within that industry, so we have to do that as well.
Yeah.
But in terms of our model, how have we evolved, pivoted, whatever term you want to use? I mean, we've evolved very much into a headhunting type business, based on the fact that the yesteryear recruitment 10 years ago, you could literally just chuck an advert out there, put your feet on the table, and it would be like shelling peas. That candidates would apply to you. So, as we mentioned earlier, good people don't sit on databases.
Sure.
If employers are doing their jobs correctly,
Supply and demand.
yeah, exactly. If employers are doing their job correctly, they don't need to keep their head beneath the parapet.
Okay.
So what we do is go about really building a network of talent.
Yeah.
Who we can say, you know, what if a role does come along that ticks A, B, C box? Would you have your head turned?
Okay.
So it might take slightly longer, but I guess we've got a virtual talent bench that a black book of a talent bench that we can pick the phone up to and say, we're dealing with this business. This is the vision. This is the values. This is the purpose. And how does that sound? Oh, yeah, that sounds quite interesting.
I guess you need that as well from the point of view of the way technology's evolved, with the likes of LinkedIn being there now. So I can go and post my own job advert on LinkedIn if I want to. The likes of Google job listings as well, so you can have Google doing the same sort of thing. So I guess you need to add the extra value to it to make
it's pre-screening as
worth
much as anything. I mean, from a very selfish point of view, and I've tried both routes. You know, sometimes you do just bang stuff out on LinkedIn and hit.
I mean, we've tried it,
and
you just
the
need to do a
amount,
lot of the work
the
yourself.
amount
Exactly,
of screening you have to do, the amount of
How much time have you guys got within your day job to screen 100
Not
CVs,
enough.
of which 90% are
Plus, that's
not even worth looking
I
at?
think linked to that, there's a screening
Skill set,
side of things,
Yeah.
but it's also your. I think for me, it's the reach and network that you guys have, in the sense of I can post something to my network on LinkedIn and it'll get some shares and it'll get responses.
Yeah.
We've had some CVs in. Most of them are completely irrelevant. Which is.
But we only know who we know. Or
Yeah, but that's
who
what I
we
mean.
know
So in the
knows.
sense of, I know if you send
Yeah.
a CV through with somebody that we actually probably want to look at 9 times out of 10, which is the beauty of it. At least it just focuses his attention a bit more.
And
Doesn't
I
it?
guess what we're doing now is I see ourselves as storytellers in the marketplace.
Yeah.
You know, we come into a business, we have a discovery session, we learn about what's happened, where you're going, all that kind of good stuff, and then we just go and be raconteurs and excite people.
Sure.
So that's
Strange,
all
isn't
we
it?
do.
Because it does feel like it's gone from being really sort of transactional, which I guess when you started, Adam, and when back in the day when we all started, it was quite a transactional thing, wasn't it? Of I have a job, there are some CVs, fine, let's go. Whereas now, I can see it being really tough. People aren't sticking a hand up. No one wants to be known to be looking, do they?
Well, CV's so lifeless as well. Like when I've been sent stacks of CVs, you just look at it and it's really hard to tell if somebody's good, bad, a liar.
Do you not use the grammar and spelling test? If there's a single mistake in it, you just throw it.
I don't like to penalise somebody
Well,
for making
particularly
one
someone in
spelling.
digital should know how to use spell check in Word.
CV just gives you skills and experience, doesn't it? That's it. You get nothing else.
Well, it
Have you
gives you a
looked at-
list of things that might be their skills and experience.
Have you looked or already experimented with using things like technology in recruitment? So having videos of candidates and sending them to employees so you get a bit more flavour than the CVs? Is that something that's been done?
It's something in that there are businesses out there that do that. It's something that we're looking at. It all depends if a large tranche of our clients say this is what we want from you, we will go ahead and press the button. But that takes investment and all that kind of stuff. So
To an extent, if it isn't broke, don't fix it.
exactly. At the moment it's working.
Yeah.
At the moment it's working. Just hope you guys don't send me an email tomorrow saying right,
We'd like some videos. We'd like some video.
exactly.
We've had an idea.
I guess I've got a bank of other questions I want to try and touch on today, but I am conscious of time. But I guess, are there any key tips for agency owners like myself, like ourselves here around the table, of how to work better with recruiters? Because I think sometimes the blame can sometimes be put on recruiters on why things don't work, or you hear about CVs coming across that aren't relevant or whatever, and that's the biggest. It always seems to be the biggest frustration to this day. Is there any key tips or takeaways that you'd say as an agency owner, if you did X, Y, and Z, it would streamline the process better? Or
I think the key to that is invest time in the relationships.
sure.
As every business, we all have our relationships with our external accountants. We have relationships with our professional service, our legal team. Where we and it's all about nurturing that relationship. The more that a recruiter can become a pseudo part of your team, an extension to your talent team, whatever, the more time we can spend in your business and learn about your business and have access to senior stakeholders in the business, we're going to learn more, aren't we? We're going to soak up more. We're going to be able to wax lyrical about exactly the role you guys play with your clients. The more that you spend time absorbed in their business, the more you learn about it and the more value both businesses get out of each other. So I guess the accessibility, being able to just pick the phone up and have a call with the decision maker. I know it sounds so simple, but some businesses will just deal with you on email. It's like, well, that's not dynamic. It doesn't work. It's not going to work. How can we build a relationship with you if you're not going to pick the phone up? So just basic stuff.
Do you get regular feedback from clients? If there's like, you send me a CV and I go, no. Do people actually take the time to sort of articulate why it's a no? Because I imagine that must be so frustrating for you that you're going to found this candidate who I think is great. And then you just get the no back.
I mean, that's a bugbearer, of course, because you could go and spend X amount of hours going and finding 3, 4, 5 that you presume to be great people, and they reject all of them and go, well, I'm not going to give you feedback. So,
thanks.
Thanks for that time. I'm not going to get back. But I guess it's about, I think the way we set out races is you set out a framework for what success looks like for both parties at the very start. Very much like the races you guys do. So we're not trying to reinvent the wheel here. It's just about clever business sense. Let's have a great two-way dialogue and let's make it happen. And
I can echo that, I think, in the sense of the relationship that we've built over the years, but also when I first came on board at BDB, they had this kind of like bank of about 8 recruitment agencies that they used, and they briefed all 8 agencies on every opportunity. It was just a dogfight, which normally ended up with chaos because everybody was approaching the similar candidates or whatever it was. And one of the first things I did was cut it right back to 1 or 2. And we typically 1 or 2 recruiters. Now it's more around who we're trying to hire. Like we're discussing the types of roles and what we need and what's your sweet spot versus somebody else's.
And you want a quality of service from a recruitment partner. You don't want us just to fire CVs over willy-nilly. You want us to go into the market, meet the people, make sure they align with your culture and your values. And then we'll deliver the CVs based on all those boxes being ticked.
Okay. Well, I can sit and speak to you all day. But I'm conscious we don't want people dying on treadmills as they're listening to this in their earphones going on for a long time.
Is that where they watch it, on treadmills?
I believe so. A lot of people are doing it.
We need to do some more analytics on it. But
but no, thank you again for coming on with us today.
You're welcome. Thanks for
having me. Do you want
me.
to have a little plug of your Adam podcast while you're on as well?
I'd also like to invite you onto our podcast.
Love to.
We started doing a podcast 6 months ago. And I've had some really interesting, amazing people from all walks of life. It's nothing to do with recruitment at all. I've had business people, really interesting business people that have scaled and built and sold and done all kind of great stuff. I've had people that have lost loved ones, tragedies through cancer and other various different scenarios, and people who've just got a great story to tell. So I just feel humbled that I can sit with people for an hour and ask them great questions and hear their story and learn from them.
Really interesting. I've really enjoyed it genuinely, in the sense of it's a really nice variety of topics. And it's quite nice sometimes to go a bit off topic as well, in the sense of taking us away from the core business world, but hearing about other people's journeys and so on. So congrats on that so far. I know how hard they are to do.
We'll get you booked in.
I look forward to it. Thanks again. Hopefully everybody's enjoyed the episode. You can find us across all the usual platforms. And don't forget to check out www.b2bknowledge.com for our content hub for all clients, prospects and contacts, helping people navigate the ever-evolving B2B marketing landscape. So thanks a lot and see you next week. Cheers, guys. Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye.